What's going on, guys? So, don't mind me wearing this hat. I haven't shaved in a few weeks, so I'm just gonna do hat off. But I wanted to finally discuss my story of StoneCrest about my hospitalization and how it changed my life forever. So, I currently have autism, but I also have a movement disorder, and it's hard for me to conjure up thoughts. My hands tremor and shake, and my mind is just foggy, and it's really caused from my hospitalization at StoneCrest. So, here's the story. So, this last year, almost a year ago, it was on late August, early September. But prior to that, I was trying to quit smoking, and I took Shantex to bend my cravings for vaping and cigarettes. I had a cute dog named Louie that I loved, and he was 20 years old, and I had to put him to sleep. And when I tried putting him to sleep, I did make a video about it. A guy came in and punched the nurse in the face, and I had my thing postponed. I had to deal with my dog suffering for 2 weeks because of this asshole that came in and punched the nurse because he couldn't tend to his rabbit fast enough. It made me so mad. And then I put my dog to sleep 2 weeks later. Then after that, I had to go to the courthouse and testify against that prick. And I was really upset. And then when I got home, I took a Shantex and blacked out. Didn't remember a single thing that happened. And I do have one video that stemmed from that day. Apparently, I was like zombified, running around like a nutcase. And there's a part that wasn't recorded by my way, but there was a cop cam of me. And apparently, I was in Ann Arbor, out of all places, and I was like this fentanyl zombie bending around, doing crazy stuff, and it was something I never experienced. But apparently, I ran around the streets, streaking nude, and I somehow got to a hospital. I don't know how, and I was hospitalized, so I woke up the next day, and I was like, what happened? And I was in my boxers. I came out in my boxers, and they're like, put your pants on. I'm like, oh, I didn't even realize, like, I was still out of it. And they said, you're going to be sent to StoneCrest Hospital. And I said, what happened? And the doctor explained, and they did tests. They said, my Shantex did cause me to pass out. I wasn't on any substances. I was sober. I didn't smoke weed or do anything. So I was, sent to StoneCrest, and that's how I got to StoneCrest. And you can believe it or not, I know you guys aren't going to believe it, but I do have the information on my diagnosis sheet, and but it but the StoneCrest hospitalization completely screwed me up. So I was in an ambulance. These two cute girls were talking to me, and I talked to her like normal. I was like, yeah, I had to put my dog to sleep yesterday, and I didn't know what happened after that. I had to go to court, and they felt sorry, and I talked about how they liked their jobs and everything, and they were cute and nice. Then I got sent to StoneCrest, and immediately I knew it was gonna suck. That hospital was a piece of fucking shit. And there's a lot of things. There was nothing to do. Absolutely nothing to do. One phone is shared by like 30 people. 30 people share one phone. You're better off being in jail. And I've been in jail. Honestly, being in jail is better than StoneCrest. And jail sucks. Even solitary confinement's better than StoneCrest. So, at least in jail, you get the proper care you need. And that's crazy to say. It's how bad StoneCrest is as a hospital. It's the worst hospital I've ever been to. And it ruins my life, where I lost my job, lost my career, lost my house. I had to move into my grandma's, lost everything. And I'm on disability. I have a lisp. I can't control my muscles. I suffer from seizures. I might have POTS. Tons of stuff. It really screwed me up, and I'm still recovering from it. So I'm on prior to being at StoneCrest, I did have tremors from Latuda. I was on an antipsychotic that I got off of, and I was suffering from tremors, but it was minor stuff. Um, I also used to use kratom, but I was on fentanyl, 8 years clean, and then I was on kratom, and I was like a year clean at that point. Um, what ended up happening? So I was there, and you can't get you can't get your medications until you see your doctor. You can't get any nicotine product, which I didn't do any nicotine, so it didn't matter. But it took me 2 days to see a doctor, and you're supposed to see a doctor within 24 hours. That's the first thing. A lot of my rights are violated, and the issue is I should have written this down, but I can't organize my thoughts to make a linear story. It just comes out randomly, and you can see my eyes. I look high. I'm not high at all. I'm completely sober, and it sucks. And this is just how I naturally look. And my voice changed after it too. It's like everything changed. So, so, nothing to do. And apparently, the most important thing I wanted to mention is a lot of my people on the floor, a lot of the patients, they were on like major medications like benzodiazepines, antidepressants like SSRIs, SNRIs, and the doctor wouldn't give them their medication. So everyone there was in protracted withdrawal. If you're in alcohol withdrawal, any withdrawal, they don't give you any detox or any treatment. I was also on Suboxone, and I didn't get my Suboxone in there. I didn't get my clonidine. I didn't get my medications. That's the first thing. The hospital is extremely violent with crazy people that's fighting each other at all times because one, there's nothing to do. Two, they're not giving you the medications you're prescribed. Three, they'll try to put you there as long as possible. Even if you did nothing wrong, if you just say, hey, I'm just super depressed and I want to kill myself, they'll put you there for a month and then drug you up with stuff that you didn't consent to take. And then once you get out, you're now mentally ill or permanently disabled. You know, it's fucked up. It's a fucked up place. And most hospitals, you have to sign a waiver, and if you don't consent to it, it's fine. If it's like an extreme case, they can court order you, but StoneCrest, even if you're like polite and cordial and you're just normal, they're just gonna court order you. They want to get as much money out of you as possible and screw you up. So I didn't get my clonidine, and finally it was 2 days, and my doctor, his name is Ben Samdare. He was 6'7", yeah, 6'7", 400 pounds, giant. And I asked, so I was on the phone with my grandma, and I was like, hey, technically I voluntarily, because I realized I was voluntarily admitted to the hospital. I don't know how, because I don't remember it, but I did. So I was like, hey, since I was here voluntarily, could I please be discharged? And the doctor picked me up by my neck and lifted me up and said, we're going to court order you indefinitely. No questions asked. And I was like polite, and no reason, just violent. Like grabbed my neck and lifted me. And immediately I called my grandma, and I called Channel 7 News, the local news station. And what ended up happening was the news came and investigated. And what happened before that too was another patient tried punching the doctor for no reason. The same doctor, like, tried punching him, and the doctor picked him up and John Cena body slammed him and like broke his arm. It is like a piece of shit. And some of the staff there were nice, but that's one thing. So you didn't get my medications, and I wasn't like this prior to being in StoneCrest. Like, at least I could conjugate my thoughts and be organized, and now I can't even think, and it's hard to walk, it's hard to exercise, it's hard to talk, it's hard to move my muscles, and people don't understand that. And so it really sucks. And I guess that night I was like, hey, I haven't gotten my clonidine in like 2.5 days. I feel like I'm gonna have a heart attack. I was shaking severely. I was about to have a seizure, and they took my blood pressure. The first one was rigged. And another thing is, you have a heart rate pulse that is strapped on your arm, which didn't work. Is this a way for control? And every 5 minutes no matter if you're sleeping, taking a shit, taking a shower, the nurse would have to go within your personal space and press the tablet like this. Like, here's my wrist. They'll tap my wrist like that every 5 minutes, and you didn't get a break. And they would just barge in while you're taking a shit. No, not there weren't doors on the bathroom either. It's like magnets and a sheet, and they'll just take the magnets down, go and it could be women too, and they just invade your privacy while you're using the bathroom and tap your arm. That's another thing. That's another rights violation. And then another thing is when you first get to the hospital, you're supposed to get a handbook that tells you what your rights are as a person. And people believe when you're hospitalized, all your rights are taken away, but that's not true. That's definitely not true. It's jail, even you have some rights, not as many, but in a hospital where you're supposed to get help, you should have special rights. It's different from jail. And jail gave me much more help than the fucking hospital. That's how brutal it is. And I had a story about my jail stay. It was not fun. And if you thought jail was bad, StoneCrest is worse. And I'd much rather be in solitary confinement than be at that hospital. So that's another thing. Same thing as jail, like the echo and the overstimulation and the noise. That's another thing. Constant fighting. And lack of nurses, short-staffed, people in protracted withdrawal, people vomiting, people similarly as me who sleep all the time. Like, I had a normal sleep cycle. Like, I went to bed at 10, woke up at 6, and did that every day, and I had a full day. Now, I sleep like 16 to 20 hours a day since my hospitalization. Like, I'm not awake much at all. And it's, like, ever since being there. But, yeah, I didn't get my disability or my patient rights handbook. I had to ask a manager or an advisor to get me their current book. And then I saw him in the back, and I'm like, you just violated like 6 or 7 of my rights. And we're like, we didn't violate any of your rights. And I just pointed them out, and it's like, no. And they were just denying it. And they tried court ordering me. They called the judge, and what ended up being declined, like the judge declining my court order, was the news came in and they investigated the hospital. And my mom and grandma said, technically, if the court does court order you, you can transfer to another hospital. And since all the hospital wants is your money, they were just going to discharge you. So they called and said, we're going to do this and do that. We're going to file a lawsuit, and they discharged me. But on that night where my blood pressure is high, instead of giving me clonidine, they gave me a shot of Haldol, which is, forgot, it's like Haldol, it's an L2, it's with Ativan, and it put me to sleep, and then ever since that shot, my life has changed, like forever. Permanent tremors, facial feature movement issues. I've had it prior, but it was a lot more severe. I was sleeping 20 hours a day, I was having seizures, hard to keep a job, and I was completely screwed up. And then after a long road of sobriety, I relapsed. And relapsed on Kratom, relapsed on 7-OH for a little bit, relapsed on alcohol and marijuana, and luckily I've been clean for 7 months. Almost, I think I'm like 10 months clean off of Kratom. But it is a shitty situation that, like, nobody should be through that. Like, if someone's suicidal, they should just get the proper help they need. And that hospital just banks patients for money, and they don't care about how it's going to affect their future life. And because the courts are tied into it and they make money, the patients can't stand up for themselves, and the only people that win are the rich. Like, if I had a lot of money, I probably could sue them and win. But no lawyer wants to take my case because I'm broke, and what they'll do is bury the evidence. And I'll explain the inside of the hospital. It's a short hall, nothing to do, absolutely nothing. Games with missing pieces, cards with missing cards, TV, one tiny TV shared in one little room shared by 30 people. no groups, or there's supposed to be groups, and once in a while there's like a music teacher. And if you have any books, the pages are ripped out, or they have nothing there, like absolutely nothing. And if you ask something basic like, hey, could I have some water? Well, they do have water, but they're like, hey, could I have a Tylenol? I have a headache, or hey, could I have a Losogem or any of that? No, they wouldn't give you anything. It's like jail, but I told you my story on jail. They're the same there, but worse. Even for basic things, I didn't get deodorant. I didn't get showerware. I Just a ton of shit. Way more violent. You'd think jail would be violent, but that hospital, I was kind of scared of my life. It was like being in a maximum security prison gen pop. Like, fights 24/7. And just terrible. And then I had to go through withdrawal, and I now have like a permanent seizure disorder because of that place. And yeah, and just, and the reason why I relapsed is I lost everything. And then what made it worse was I worked my ass off throughout my 20s because I wanted to be a father, I wanted to be a family man, I wanted to have kids, like support, just a supportive family with a wife. Now I'm almost 30 years old and a virgin, never kissed a girl, never had, intercourse, or never been on a date. And now with not really good looking guy, kind of ugly, I know I should shave, kind of an ugly guy. I used to be attractive, but kind of an ugly guy, and disabled, that is a slow now. At least I have savant syndrome from it. That's the only thing that I got from it. But otherwise, it's like everything else was terrible, and I can't really enjoy the life anymore. I can't make a lot of money. I try to work and I'd often have seizures. I'd pass out. I'm worried about losing my license. And it got me into some legal trouble when I was homeless for temporarily. I lived out of my car for a bit. I got into some legal trouble, like buying a prostitute. On my birthday, attempted going to NA meetings, and they didn't like what I said about me being a virgin and single. Same thing with AA. Kicked me out of the meetings. And I got drunk on my birthday and harassed innocent sorority girls that had nothing to do with my problems. And I got in trouble for it, of course, and I feel like a massive asshole for doing it, and I feel so bad, and I don't want to do anything like that again. And then probation wants me to go to AA, but I think Sexaholics Anonymous, even though I'm a virgin, would be better, because at least I can talk about my feelings without being ostracized or criticized, And it's just stuff like that. It just messed up like a lot. Like my teeth are messed up now. Everything about me is just, my appearance is not good now. But I just try to think in the positive. Just try to be as positive. I'm happy that I'm free. I don't have to work. I'm on disability now. I have a lot more freedoms now. Like I have a lot more options of things to do, and so I think there's a lot of positives, and I've learned lessons. And I know my voice changed. I probably sound a little more feminine, but I don't really care at this point. But the only thing I feel kind of empty about is I kind of wish I had a girlfriend, or at least a friend. Like, if it's a friend, that's fine. Even if it's a friend that's a girl, And honestly, I wouldn't mind that. I really don't want to lose my virginity until, like, I dated someone for like a few months or something, just to get to know them. I don't want to have sex with some random person I barely know. So, and that is the truth. And what would happen is, and I've had this my whole life, I'd have those urges, and I have to learn how to control it. It's my number one thing. But honestly, I have learned my lesson. I just wish I could get the proper help I needed. I wish what I have right now could improve and I can get back on my feet and work. But that's all I gotta say, and have a good one.